Sarah Sackman, would you do a deal with the Greens?
Look, I think, as others have said, what we want to see is a progressive government. And if people want a Labour government, they should vote Labour. And what we want to do in the next, well, 50 days, is talk about the issues, talk about the policies that a Labour government would implement. And then we'll see, the voters will decide, and then the outcome will determine whether there's a coalition of some kind or not.
What's your view towards the SNP?
I think what I would say to voters in Scotland who are considering voting SNP...
And there seem to be rather a lot of them considering voting SNP. If the polls are to be believed, you'll be massacred.
I think the point is the election on the 7th of May is different from the referendum. And that question on the referendum was settled in favour of a no vote. The majority in Scotland has spoken on that. But if voters in Scotland who are considering voting SNP want to see a progressive government, then it's a straight choice between David Cameron as Prime Minister, one of the most ideologically right-wing Prime Ministers since Margaret Thatcher, or a Prime Minister in Ed Miliband who is focusing on inequality. And if they want to see that tackled, then they should vote Labour.
But you agree with your senior Labour colleagues that ruling out a deal with the SNP would be counterproductive at this stage?
I think it's pointless to speculate on what is going to happen after the election. The voters have to decide. And what we need to do in the next few weeks is concentrate on putting a positive message to the voters in Scotland, in Wales, in England, about what a Labour government would do.
But, as you said, how difficult it is in Scotland, particularly for Labour MPs who are either trying to hold their seats or win them over as new MPs. It's difficult if Ed Miliband doesn't rule out some sort of deal with the SNP. It makes their job harder.
Well, I think what's important is that we've heard from the SNP themselves that they are ruling out a coalition. So I think
but what they haven't ruled out, well, they haven't actually completely ruled out, but they have said that they would prefer a looser arrangement. Should Ed Miliband rule out any sort of pact with the SNP?
Again, I think it's preemptive to predetermine what the voters are going to do. And I think one of the things that's interesting, because a lot of this discussion has come out of this Tory poster that we've seen with Alex Salmond with Ed Miliband in his pocket. And it's interesting that the Tories in this country have nothing positive to say to voters in Scotland whatsoever. And one thing I'm pretty sure of is whether you're a voter in Scotland thinking of voting SNP or voting Labour, the one thing we can both agree on is we don't want a Tory government.
Well, do you want to answer that? You've got nothing positive to say in Scotland at all.
We've got a great record that we can...
In Scotland?
We've got a great record that, you know, I talk to about my constituents here and in the marginal seats that we're trying to secure. But, you know, to tackle poverty and insecurity, and inequality, you need to have a strong economy. Because unless you have a strong economy that's supporting business and generating jobs, you cannot bring in the revenue to support public services. And I think we mustn't forget that. And what's interesting is at the weekend, Ed Balls would not say whether he would or would not go into coalition with the SNP. So the options are pretty clear at the next election. In 50-odd days' time, people can vote for David Cameron to return to Downing Street and continue on our record. Or you have an option of sort of chaos, returning...
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say, yeah.
Or the option is either chaos with, you know, Miliband being at number 10, and they have not learnt their lesson on what they did before.
Will you rule out, as the ladies have put you, will you rule out, and why shouldn't David Cameron rule out a deal with UKIP?
Look, I'm just a candidate. I don't think it's my job to rule deals out.
You're selling the party's message on the doorstep.
The message on the doorstep is pretty clear. If you want a majority Conservative government to continue working and delivering our economy that has improved schools. We've got 1 million more kids now going to good and outstanding schools. We've got 1,000 new doctors and nurses on the doorstep.
We've heard your thing, but we're asking specifically at this point, Nuz, about deals and coalitions and what people are saying on the doorstep. The problem for you is you're going to be asked on the doorstep about what a Labour government might do, whether they are the largest party or form a minority administration, and that's a problem if you cannot answer straightly what you do about the SNP.
I mean, I think anybody who is predicting a possible coalition of whatever shade knows that going into the election, what you want to do is to have the most seats possible.
Of course, and everyone knows that.
And that's what we're campaigning on. We have to campaign on our positive offer for the country, tackling inequality, more house building, protecting the NHS,
all right.
all the positive policies.
I didn't let Nuz go on with her party manifesto, and I'm not going to let you do the same. So we'll leave it there. We'll continue this chat through the programme.